Hello everyone. It's Latoya here, and I am ready to cook recipe 2 of our Home Chef meals that we got earlier this week. And so today we are going to cook the sweet potato, bacon, and goat cheese skillet. Now, technically this is breakfast, but it's afternoon that I'm filming this, and that's okay because you can have breakfast any time of day. And this kind of meal, I think it'll be good for a late lunch. So I'm ready to get started. Are you ready? Come on, let's go.
Okay, so what we are doing here is we're getting out all of our ingredients. So that was bell pepper, onion, sweet potato, the cilantro, jalapeno, bacon, yum, yum, yum. That's brown sugar and the goat cheese, and then the egg. Sweet potato, so I peeled, washed, and peeled the sweet potato. Now I am chopping it up. As you can see, chopping sweet potatoes raw obviously are kind of hard because sweet potatoes are super hearty, but I'm trying to chop them up in bite-sized chunks, which is what I showed you. And we're just gonna get that all nice and chopped up and put in a bowl. Now we're gonna get our bell pepper. That's obviously a red bell pepper. I love this little trick when you just kind of take off the top, and then I'll just rinse out the seeds. But I love cutting my bell pepper like that because you get to use so much of the bell pepper, like literally the whole thing. Nothing is wasted, so I love that. And it's really good when you want to fill it with stuff, and then you can actually put the top right on top as well. So we're just gonna chop up our red bell pepper. I'm gonna put that in a bowl to set aside. Now we got our onion, and I try to do it the way the chefs do it, where you cut the onion up in half with the peel still on. That makes it easy to get it off, and then I just chop. And I had no tears. That was a quick chop. Now we got our cherry tomatoes, and I rinsed those off, and now I'm just gonna cut those in half and put those in a little bowl to also set aside. Everything was chopped up and set aside. Now for our jalapeno. So I'm actually taking out some of the seeds and half of the rib because that's what makes it super spicy. So I took some of that out so that it wouldn't be too spicy. Then I put that in a bowl, and I'm gonna wash my hands. It's very important to wash your hands after handling a jalapeno. Now onto the bacon, yum. So I'm chopping that up in like a bite-sized pieces, so long way, and then I'm gonna go back and chop it up a little bit more. Getting everything ready, get my skillets ready. So you only need 2 skillets for this. Some extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper. I'm dancing. What? Now that our oil is getting hot, I'm gonna add that bacon in. I'm gonna wait for that to crisp up. So I'm gonna stir that periodically as it browns. Get that nice and crispy. You don't want it burnt, you just want it nice and crispy. There's a difference. So I'm just putting that in a bowl to set aside. And then I wiped out a lot of that oil, but I did reserve some. And that's what I'm putting back in the skillet. And then we're gonna put our sweet potatoes in there once the oil gets hot again. So we've got that. Yeah, I mean that is gonna be so good. Sweet potatoes and bacon. Hello, you cannot go wrong with that. Yeah, I love sweet potatoes. Like, love them. I can eat sweet potatoes any kind of way, baked, fried. Oh, by the way, I did add salt and pepper. I kind of did salt and pepper kind of as I was going throughout this recipe. You know, as you're adding in layers, you want to kind of salt and pepper each layer. And I'm just checking to see if the sweet potatoes are tender enough before I start adding the other ingredients. Okay, so it looks like it's almost done. So I'm gonna add our onion and our bell pepper, some of the jalapenos, adding a little bit more salt and pepper. Smells good. Yeah. I'm gonna add in those tomatoes, and that was actually brown sugar in that little packet. So that helped with the jalapenos, and it had like a little sweet. And then when we add that goat cheese, that's gonna be some tanginess. So now I added some extra virgin olive oil to my pan that I'm gonna cook my eggs in. And I was grabbing some cheese from the fridge because I love cheesy eggs. So that wasn't part of the recipe. I'll mention that again at the end, but yeah, I have to have cheese in my eggs. That's just how it is. So I added all of that egg and some cheese. Yum. Yeah, I think I spilled cheese all in the middle on my stove. So I'm gonna salt and pepper my eggs as well. Stirring everything just so that nothing sticks or burns. And then of course eggs do not take long at all. So I'm gonna add the bacon back in. Yum. So good. And then I'm adding some of the goat cheese and mixing it up. Look how it's starting to get creamy. And then we add the eggs, you stir that up, and that's pretty much it. I turn the heat off. We're gonna get ready to actually put it in a bowl. Just garnishing and getting it all ready.
Okay, so that one was a long recipe. So the recipe card said that it should take about 45 minutes to prepare the meal. And it actually took me probably about an hour or so, maybe a little less just because I had to fool around with the camera. But I think what took this recipe so long is you just had to wait for stuff to kind of get done once you chopped up everything. So that was kind of, you know, the hardest part, chopping up everything. And then waiting for the bacon to cook and the sweet potatoes, because obviously cooking sweet potatoes kind of in a pan, you know, they're a little bit harder to, you know, they're hard, so they take a lot longer to cook. But then once you got the sweet potatoes done and the bacon done, everything else was pretty easy. But yeah, so it definitely took a little bit longer than what the recipe card said. But let's taste it and see if it's all worth it. Ooh, look at that. I can't wait. Let's try it. And hopefully my sweet potatoes got tender. My bacon was nice and crunchy. I got the hot peppers, the jalapenos. So it looks good. Let's try it. I love goat cheese, by the way. That's why I love goat cheese, bacon, and sweet potatoes. That was why I picked this recipe. My favorites. So let's try it and see. Again, don't want to burn my mouth. We got a little kick. Not too much, and that's probably more because I put some of the fresh jalapenos on top, but that just adds that extra fresh flavor that I love. The fresh baby arugula for garnish is that adds a nice gardeny feel to it. By the way, I I actually added a little sharp cheddar cheese to my eggs just because that's how I cook my eggs, but the recipe did not call for that. But I love cheesy eggs, so I just had to add cheese, especially since I had some. Oh my god, this is so good, guys. It's like, it's not overpowering. Okay, wait, let me take another bite. And then the creaminess of the goat cheese is really good. And you still got the crunch from the bacon. This is really good. Okay. Okay, Home Chef. It took me a little longer to make it, but this was totally worth it. All right. So we are now 2 for 2 with these recipes. Very good, very reasonable. I'm gonna make sure I put all the description and links and everything for you guys down at the bottom. But yeah, this is good. I would make this again. And before I go, look at all this that I have left. Wait, can you see it? Can you see that? This is like for 2 people. That's for 2 people, okay? That's a lot of food. Oh, sorry, I'm not even in the camera. That's a lot of food. So needless to say, I will be eating this tomorrow. And maybe the next day. Yeah, and even though you have eggs in it, it's not that much. So, you know, that'll still reheat with everything else. Because I'm not really like a reheat egg kind of person. But, yeah, this was really good. Okay, well, we're going to give this one a thumbs up. And until next time, guys,